Drama Life Person Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. Hoping, girl, because you gotta hold your breath for justice. To see justice before all face too bleak. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, I'm coming through today, October the 29th. Yes, my day off. I already have my niece and my nephew at the house. I'm about to go get my granddaughter in. I got 30 minutes. So we got 30 minutes so I can record this video. And then I got to get to going because these kids going to have me all discombobulated. Anyways, I'm about to take the kids to the bounce house and have fun. This is one of the things that I get through my work week, right? Struggle through my work week. Then it's my day off. Now, when you get a day off, you have to choose family day, catch up on everything you fell behind on in the week, or just relax. Okay, so we never relaxed. Never got time to relax. So family comes first. So I spend my time usually on Sundays with my family. And then I stay up to the wee hours of the morning, girl. Mondays end up being my errand days. So that's the day that I catch up on everything that I fell so far behind on throughout the week because I wasn't doing nothing but working to live and live to work. I hustle hard until it hurts. I work my fingers down to the bone. And once I pay my bills, it ain't nothing to come home with. Once I pay my bills, it ain't nothing to come home with. Once I pay my bills, ain't nothing to come home with. Yeah, it's your girl Cadillac. But anyways, so this is day one. Oh, this day halfway gone. I usually watch this clock. I stalk the clock, which I have to stop doing that because I'm always like, oh man, I only have 8 more hours. Oh man, I only have 6 more hours left in this day off. Oh man, it's only 4 more hours. Oh, I gotta stop watching that clock. That clock ain't finna stop. So I gotta learn how to work with time, and time cannot be my sole like thing that I focus on. The reason I became so consumed with time, which is so crazy, is because I had to be pulled in so many different ways, and there each hat that I wear, it actually requires a lot of work to maintain that hat. So to be able to do all those things, so some of my hats, single mother. Now I'm a single grandmama, but I'm still a single mother, still helping my daughter. My daughter, that generational curse. She is a single mother. So we are together helping to make sure my granddaughter has the best life that she can have. I am auntie. Y'all know I take that seriously, girl. And on the weekends, the kid, I woke up and they was to the house. I'm like, who let y'all in? They was already coming up out the woodworks, girl. I already took them to Cece's yesterday. That was crazy. I didn't even release all the vlogs from that because I had to rush off to work. That was just a little squeeze in thing for us to do before I had to go to my workshop. But oh my goodness, they was already there. My artist hat, which should be a big part of my life, a big hat, but I don't have a lot of time to, devote to my art the way I would like to. Girl, them grand artists, you could tell an artist that spent time on some work. You could tell the difference in it. And even with myself, I can tell when I really spent some time on a piece, girl. And when I was just trying to scribble and hurry up, oh my gosh, deadline, 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 I could tell the difference. So I don't get to devote as much time to my artwork that I would like to because it's kind of being squeezed into the crevices of my life. Just like I'm a graphic designer, right? And one thing I always just get in trouble for is because they said I didn't leave enough margin. Yes, I don't have enough padding in between my columns and my text. I ain't got enough padding around the edges. The pictures are bumping too close together. Padding, open layout. they call fresh and clean and modern. It can breathe. The text can breathe. All your different assets can breathe. And life needs to be that way too. I need margin in my life. I need to go from in between work. Maybe there's a little margin of rest. In between days off, I'm actually taking that day off. The days of having a day off and actually resting, girl. But anyways, I went on too long, girl. Y'all know I'll ramble. Y'all know I'll ramble if you let me. But let's get into this article. I'm sorry, I'm sitting in my car and it is hot. We are in Florida and Florida is hot. And every time I think about being hot, I think about my husband being times hotter in DOC, where DOC has no AC because they say it's a luxury, but yet people are so getting sick in the sweltering heat. But what's crazy, we're about to come up on those winter months. So they deal with the sweltering heat through the winter. During the summer. But when winter comes, they deal with trying to keep themselves warm. Like, it's crazy. It's a lot going on in there. But I think about, just me, where I can have my AC on, right? Or I can go into this cool little Publix right here and I can walk through the little freezer section or whatever if I get cool. I can figure out a way to get cool. I can go walking. There's a tree over there. I can go stand under that shade and get me a little cool breeze. But people that are incarcerated cannot do those such things, right? So always keep that in the forefront, that I'm still blessed. No matter what I'm going through, I'm still blessed. I'm still blessed, girl. But let's get into this. Somebody else that was blessed, girl. So this came through on my news feed. I don't even know who hooked me up to this news feed. I think it came with my phone, but it does show me some good articles, and it shows you things that are relevant to what you care about. Like, I don't care about all the news going on. Some of that stuff I try to tune out. Some of that stuff ain't quite all the way right. So and plus, taking in too much news consumes you, and it can change your outlook on life, and it also can change your demeanor, your attitude, your mood, everything. It could change the way you affect others just by watching too many articles about others that you don't even really know, girl. But now you taking on that aspect because it was told to you to take on that aspect. So I like that this one filters the news and shows me things that it thinks I would be interested in. So I don't go through all of it, but some I do. Like, I love justice and criminal justice and all of that, which I do hate that they call it criminal justice, because words mean a lot, right? So by saying criminal justice, it is registering in someone's mind and implying that we want justice for criminals. Criminal justice reform. Why would we want justice for criminals? We want justice reform because the system is not made for criminals. It is made for us, the citizens, right? So even if you, the citizen, break a law, the just thing is to be fairly tried and fairly sentenced. Fairly. You can't have that's like if your child breaks one rule. Okay, let's say they came in late and they broke your laws of the house, right? You're not finna punish them until Jesus come back. Like, you're gonna find a suitable punishment for that crime. Or not crime, but that breaking of your household laws, right? That's the same in the criminal justice system. It should be equal justice, equal time for equal crime, right? Okay, so let me read this really quick, and then I don't even have that much more time, girl. You should have stopped me long ago. Why you let me ramble on like? Okay, forget it. Okay. I was sentenced to life in prison for a first-time offense. 21 years later, Kim Kardashian pushed for my release. Alice Marie Johnson returns to Aliceville. Oh, wow. She's from Aliceville and her name is Alice, where she served 21 years in prison on October 17, 2003, while she's just returning citizen. This is why we need to care about rehabilitation, because everybody is not there forever, girl. They coming back to our society. They're coming back. This is why it does include you, because you can easily be grouped in that prison population. And also, those that are in that prison population are coming back to your society. How would you like them? Would you rather? This is a great game of would you rather. Would you rather them come back rehabilitated and be an asset to your society? Or would you rather them come back not rehabilitated and re-offend against people in the society? Would you rather? Really? Okay. In 1996, Alice Marie Johnson was sentenced to life imprisonment for her involvement in a substance trade. After 21 years in prison, Johnson was granted clemency after Kim Kardashian advocated for her freedom. Johnson spoke to Insider reporter, Yoonji. So I'm going to spell it because I probably mispronounced. Yoonji. Han, Han. About finding hope in prison and changing the criminal justice system. Girl, the justice system. This is an as told to essay based on a conversation with Alice Marie Johnson, who was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1996 for her involvement in a substance trafficking organization. She was released from prison in 2018. Hold on, y'all. I'm so sorry. That was my daughter calling. I had to answer. Okay, so she was released in prison. From prison in 2018 and is now a criminal justice reform advocate. That essay has been edited for length and clarity. I was born in Mississippi as one of 9 children. Yes, my dad from Mississippi too. 8 girls and 1 boy. And my brother right smack in the middle. My parents worked on someone else's place. My father was a sharecropper and worked in the dairy barn, and my mother was an outstanding cook. We picked cotton, so I grew up with a strong work ethic. You don't have a choice but to have a strong work ethic when your work is part of your life. We escaped the sharecropping lifestyle when I was almost 6 years old. I was the word escape because I use the word escape, because that's really what it took for us to get out of it. Every year when a crop came in, the landowners would tell us there was no money left over. Even if it was a good year, my parents had to secretly buy a prefabricated home, one of those Jim Walters homes in Olive Branch, and sneak over at night to prepare it. One day in the middle of the night, they woke me up, covered my mouth because I talked a lot, and pushed the car down the road until we escaped to our new home. We moved into a new house with a whole new beginning. My parents knew that the only way to escape poverty was through education. Truth. My father got his first factory job. My mother started cooking at country clubs and different organizations and eventually opened her own restaurant that put all of my siblings through college. But for me, things didn't turn out that way because I got pregnant and married young. When I was just 15 years old, a wrong turn. My husband and I have 5 children together, so I never got to do the teenage stuff that most girls do. Even though I was married very young and I was in a very tumultuous marriage, I still managed to take secretarial college classes. I couldn't let my husband know because he'd say, "You should be using that time to be working." But I still had strong ambitions, and I knew I had to have something to build upon my own future because my marriage was already going down the drain. Every job that I got after, I'd always rise up. In fact, I integrated our small town offices. They never had a black woman work in office before, but because I had great skills, I was the first one to get an office job. Every job that a black person used to get were factory or domestic jobs. I got a job at FedEx as a secretary and made my way to a manager role. But my life totally changed after I got divorced. Even if it was a terrible marriage, I'd been married all my adult life up to that point, and it felt traumatic. My life started to go out of control. I ended up meeting a man who I discovered later was involved in substances. I thought that he was a professional gambler. That's how I ended up making a real bad decision to become a telephone mule for a substance trade. I felt guilty. I'm sorry, sentenced to life. I felt guilty with what I was doing, but I was happy to just put food on the table and pay my utilities. My son was tragically outed in a scooter accident, and I became a zombie at that point. I was grieving. My children were grieving. I couldn't even pay for his funeral. Wow. So I started passing those messages. When one of the people who was carrying substances got busted, he had my phone number. I was 39 years old and I became officially a part of a I'm sorry, substance conspiracy arrest. They labeled me as a queen pin, but I didn't have the money that they thought I had. My house was a little bit over 100,000 and I was paying notes on a car, but they had to label somebody, and the one who goes to trial is going to always be labeled because there are others that are going to take plea deals. That is so true. The person that usually gets the hardest sentence, I don't even believe in trials no more, girl. I truly wish Marcello had took his plea, though it was a wrongful. He still would have been wrongfully convicted, but they just want you to take something. So if you plea, you can work deals with them. They can get it down. My husband would have had way more of his life salvaged if he had just took the plea. And it looks like in her case, she is not the head of this crime. The heads, they know they did something wrong, so they're gonna plead fast. Like, okay, run me the plea. Who I gotta throw under that bus? Who? Oh, that person helped me. Yep, they're gonna get lighter sentences and be out to formulate all this over again, so it can continue, whatever. But the people that are actually going to go to court and try to fight for, hey, I wasn't. Now, in this case, she's not innocent, but she is kind of just wrapped up into something that she wouldn't have really. She's kind of making decisions based on where she is in the world, lacking and trying to make opportunities for her kids. She just lost a child. She can't even afford to bury her child, so she's in deep poverty. Poverty will make you sometimes put aside your morals and values just to make, ends meet. I'm not making any excuse, but I'm just telling you what it is. And she looked like she got most of the time because she went to trial, or somebody had already turned, whatever evidence against her, and it's kind of, you know, oh wow. Okay. Okay, when one of those people started, okay, they labeled me a queen pin, but they had to label somebody, and the one who goes to trial is going to always be labeled because the others are going to take plea deals. I didn't know anything about the criminal justice system or how conspiracy works. This is why now most people, please let me say this spot because I can't find my spot again like that. I only got 10 minutes now. But most people think it doesn't, I don't care about the system. Those in prison, I don't give two flip flops about. I'm out here struggling. Who cares about them? They should not have done what they did. Not knowing there could be a bed set for you. You can easily, very easily, I'm sure before you could win a lottery or even a jackpot at a casino, you could actually end up in prison yourself that fast, that easy. And that's why we all should care, because you never know when you'll be staring down the barrel of a conviction, and then you're going to want the system to be set up and played the correct way. But it's too late, baby. Like, you didn't care when you had the options to help formulate this system. You didn't give a flip flop. But now you have to sit through this same system that you didn't care about. But now all of a sudden you care, but you no longer have that power now because you have what you call that? What you call that? The stigma is attached to you now. So now nobody also cares about you. That's like a damaged goods claim. If I had a sticker, damaged good, you no longer matter. Yes. So while we're not labeled damaged goods, which I'm not really labeled a damaged good, I don't have a record, knock on anything, and I don't ever wish to have one, girl. But I know how thin the line is that we walk to being free. And I know there's levels of freedom, right? So I have a level of freedom. But okay, anyway, that's not, we ain't totally free. We have levels of freedom, right? Okay. But you should care because you never know. Could be you, could be you, could be you, could be your child, could be your brother, your sister, your cousin. About the criminal justice system or how conspiracy worked. When I was sentenced to life imprisonment, I was shocked. There was no violence in my case. I never sold or used substances. The substances that I was charged for were substances that were testified to but were never seized. Oh, so no real evidence. Yeah, girl, they could do that. I guess people think they can. They charging Marcello with a weapon that don't exist. Like, but so they charging her with substances that they didn't recover, but someone said there was some substances, so that's all they need. They don't need true. See, we think, because I thought this. I was you. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay. If you feel this way, you can change. Change can come to anybody with time, right? I was one of those condemning citizens. I was. Prior to being in the system, prior to seeing firsthand how it worked, I was one of those condemning citizens that said, hey, you shouldn't have did what you did, girl. Like, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Yes, I mimicked all of that BS. But it wasn't until I had a loved one, which means I had skin in the game then, girl. And I seen firsthand how this system screwed him all the way up and down, back and forth. I seen how they stripped him of his civil rights, his human rights, and his constitutional rights. And I seen how they threw him away and discarded him like he was nothing to nobody. So we can change and come to the other side and realize that we all need this system to work for all of us, because it is affecting all of us. Okay, finding my voice in prison. Oh, so they don't even say nothing how she was. So evidently she lost trial. Finding my voice in prison. When I went to prison, I made myself very educated. I wanted to know how in the world I could receive such a sentence. I made the decision that I was still going to live life and impact my prison community. Oh, that's a picture of her with. I need to put those on my community page, the pictures. It was a dark place, but the women became my family. I'd applied for clemency numerous times, but was denied. Marcello, for some reason, he applied for clemency, I think in 2020, and somehow they knocked his application out and then said he had to reapply, which I don't even know if he reapplied, but they knocked his place out of line. So you're going to be waiting forever to even come up. And then some come up and then they're denied. Okay, I was in a dark place. Okay, I lost both my parents, my older sister while I was in prison, but I couldn't go to the funerals. That's so true. Everybody be gone when you come back. All the people Marcello done lost since. But I made a decision to never lose hope. My release date would only be by my death. Oh my gosh. Gave her life. But I believe I would go home. I started writing plays to get women involved. I became an advocate for women in prison. Yes, find your voice in your storm. Whatever your storm is, just talk about it because somebody else is going through it. I literally thought I was alone. I thought I was a weirdo. I thought I was a crazo. I'm the only one going through this. People think I'm stupid, dumb. Just leave him, girl. Like, really, you think he's innocent and all of that stuff that makes you second guess yourself. Tell your story, girl. You don't know who you're impacting. Tell your story. And I'm going to tell my story. I've been looked at as crazy. I've been called crazy. I've been called everything out my name. But tell your story. I'm still telling my story. Okay. I'd only been in prison 1 year when I was able to change the education system of our prison. Women in long sentences were not allowed to participate in certain vocational classes that were intended for women who were being released into the world soon. I fought to get that policy changed. That policy should be changed. Y'all know that Patrick Peterson, Florida DOC man that is doing life for a battery on a officer during a riot, a prison riot. Okay. He was saying how DOC has changed over the years, Florida DOC, and how those classes and things, they don't give them to long timers, which is not really good because how unjust our system is. People are getting their sentences overturned. And those people that you assume were never going to get out of prison, get out. But you haven't rehabilitated them. It's like raising a child and never teaching a child a lick of anything. No life lessons, know how to deal with money, know how to deal with other people that's in life, knowing that it's not always going to be your way. You didn't teach that child nothing. And then one day that child is 18. What do you think they finna go out into society and do and be? You have to prepare people. You have to. I know the judgment that you sit high and they sit low. You don't want, oh, they shouldn't be getting education because I'm a good law-abiding citizen and I'm not getting free education, so they shouldn't get free education. Well, baby, there's a lot of free education out here. I'm a good law-abiding citizen and I got my degree in graphic design free. I didn't pay a dime for it. I got a grant, free education. So there are programs out here for us. You have to look for them rather than just saying, oh, they shouldn't get it because I don't have it. Right? Okay, I only been in prison for 1 year when I was able to change the education system on our prison. Women with long sentences were not allowed to participate in certain vocational classes that were intended for women who were being released into the world soon. But I fought to get that policy changed. My argument was, how do you tell a woman not to hope? How do you tell a woman not to prepare for the future because they feel like you have no future? Kim Kardashian became aware of my issue because I started giving talks from prison. I think I took, I'm sorry. I think when I looked into the camera as though I were talking directly to the audience, my genuineness came through. I wasn't a stereotype of what a prisoner was. I was a regular woman who just became a great grandmother and hadn't even committed the worst crime. Many people told me that they felt that in my heart. A free woman. After serving 21 years in 2018, I was granted clemency and released from prison. I walked out. It was crazy. It sounded like an earthquake. Every woman on the compound was locked in, but they were beating on the windows and stomping their feet, screaming, "Miss Alice, don't forget about us." Girl, don't forget about them. Those women matter. I don't care how society have forgotten about you. You matter. You matter. I didn't show it, but it was so scary. I didn't know nothing. Here was an entertainer, FaceTime and Facebook. I didn't even know who she didn't know who Kim Kardashian was. Girl, her daddy is the one that got OJ off. Girl. I jumped when I got in the car and heard a stranger's voice. Though I don't know about that OJ situation, girl. I'm sorry, but and heard a stranger's voice. Turned out it was Siri giving my daughter directions. At first, I had nightmares. It's like they're coming back into a whole different world. It's like a time warp. When they go to prison, they keep them like frozen in time. They don't progress with the ages like we do out here, right? And there were, I'm in different advocating groups, and there was one that is trying to do computer classes with, they call them inmates, incarcerated citizens. And they said no, because if we teach them computers, that they can use it in some type of way to do something. Like it's security reasons. We cannot teach them computers, but also it could be that could be that big of a possibility. So you decrease and stop everybody else from learning because of this possibility that a percentage may use it in the wrong way. Anything can be used in the wrong way. Y'all system is being used in the wrong way. Prison is being used in the wrong way. So anything can be used in the wrong way. But because there's a percentage that it might happen, you say, "Oh no, we can't teach y'all computer classes. So if one day if y'all get out, they don't even do paper applications no more. You won't even be able to apply for jobs because you don't even know how to use a computer, girl. You don't know how to type. There's a lot of online jobs that you will not qualify for if you get out because you ain't ready." Girl, at first I had nightmares that I'd wake up I'd wake up and instead of a bunk bed, I'd see a ceiling over my head, and that would calm me down. So she kept flashing back. She had PTSD. But I can never get the image of the women in the prison out my head. I knew I wouldn't stop fighting for them. As soon as I hit the ground running. I hadn't even been at home for 1 week before I was traveling, calling for an end to mandatory sentencing and seeking a real change in criminal justice reform, in the criminal justice system. Yes, that as well. Mandatory minimums. I didn't want there to be another Alice Johnson. I was a broken woman when I went in, and I came out free. I was already free. Before they set me free, I came out a woman who had faced my past and my fears, and I'm ready for what's next. Whew, yes, girl. So this storm doesn't have to be a purposeless storm. Y'all, I was just going through this whole thing Because I'm like, I had a conversation with Marcello, and I'm gonna wrap this up because Money probably like, Ma, I told you to be here by 2:30, so 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I had a conversation with Money. I'm sorry, not with Money. I'm getting sidetracked. My brain be thinking about one thing with Marcello yesterday, and he sounded really down and depressed. He goes through it too. He's most times stays upbeat. He's even when I'm like over this situation and like this is too much, and he's like, no, we can make it, and this and this and that. So when he's upset, I already know it's really bad because he doesn't let himself get overwhelmed. He doesn't let himself get down about whatever's going on. He's quick to bounce back, right? So he says, I was telling him about how I stayed up to 6 a.m. and I was researching this club, in his alleged crime. They said that he came and jacked some people at a club. Nobody was around but just them, his cousin, and Marcello. That was it, which was lies because there's no way on the biggest party night of this club, and it was also free admission on those nights, I heard from party goers. So it was most likely it was quite packed, right? But they say he did all this stuff, girl, right? So I was telling him how I was researching the club, and then they claimed that there was no surveillance, there was no security, there was no other witnesses, and there was no surveillance in the parking lot. Well, I found an article later that said they had a robbery in that parking lot and they found their suspects through surveillance. So these invisible surveillance that didn't never exist, they found their suspect. So when they told us that there was no surveillance, because we was like, just pull the surveillance cameras. Marcello wasn't at that club. They said that through Marcello's attorney said, oh no, there's no surveillance at that club. And we're like, okay, well, pull the surveillance at 7-Eleven to prove he was there. If he was there, they could show which way he went. It could show, did he actually head towards that club? Did he actually head towards his way home? They said, oh no, 7-Eleven, because you can't tell me 7-Eleven don't have surveillance, because I ain't that dumb. I ain't that going to bed. They said, oh no, it's too expensive for us to pull it. So no way to prove his innocence. All those means that could have 100% proved this case and took all this beyond a shadow of a doubt out of this case. This case wouldn't be so weird and all over the place had they not taken out these certain pieces. So I was telling him how I was just researching old pictures because they have demolished the club. The club had become a cesspool of substances. But remember, they did not want, the judge said, you can't say that these guys were going getting substances and this and that. I'm not going to allow that to be added. But the judge let other stuff be added to it from the original charge affidavit to trial. He allowed other things to be added. But there was no way that they said you cannot say that these two were going to get substances and going back to the club, because that's what it was. He said, we're not going to add that because there's no sign of substances, so you're not adding that into the narrative. Well, baby, your girl did some research. And the dude one of them has a long laundry list of substance and alcohol. Been in rehab several times. But this was the beginning of their substance thing. Because remember, this is 21 years later. So he shows, it's like when you don't know the future. So we didn't know the future. So we didn't know quite that they were substance abusers. But now we do know that. Years later, it proved right. It proved right with that cousin that got away, that he was going to reoffend, because he reoffend over and over and over. So, I mean, we couldn't quite say back then, but now we can. But the judge said, you're not adding no substances in there. So that place, I came across so many reviews on TripAdvisor and stuff about how the club was very unsafe, how it was riddled with substances, how it was so many different things, crimes happening at that club. slash hotel. So I was thinking like possibly it's going to say something about the security, verifying that there was security. So I've seen things verifying that there was a high substance area, but I have not yet found nothing about the security. And I'm actually trying to find a picture of a security camera on the property so that so I could put their lies to bed. I know myself, but you have to have proof. It's not really about, on our side, it's about what you can prove. On their side, is not. They don't have to prove it. They don't have to bring real evidence, right? So I was telling him about it, and he was like, you know what? At this point, I did the time. And that really hurt me. I'm like, he got about 15 more years, 15 to 16-ish more years. And I'm judging how long it has taken me to get to this point. I'm just now getting traction. And I thank everyone that is helping me. Because you don't know how it feels to tell the story and nobody listen. People to close their ears like that. That's a even more heartbreaking situation to be in. But now I feel people are listening. Open hearts, open ears. But I'm like, look how long it's taken me to get to this point. Judging by how long it's took, it's going to take me that much longer to get to the end, to him being released and coming home. So the fear is that I will fight 15 more years and he'll just come home just by default. So then I'm like, yeah, we did spend our lives fighting. I just don't want this that I've been through to be in vain. I don't want what Marcello went through to be in vain. It can't be in vain. If it's in vain, they win. They win. All right. I'll see y'all later. I'm late. Grandmama late, baby girl. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get your little granddaddy home. But I know grandbaby don't want them excuses. So I will see you guys later. Hiss ya, girl Cadillac.